Part 2, here we go. Now once again, just want to let you know, these aren't movies I necessarily hate. I was more disappointed by them. With that said, here we go. Number 8 on my list is X-Men Origins Wolverine. This movie, man. And my brothers and I saw this movie. One of my brothers, he despises this movie. The first part of it is actually really good. The first 10 minutes are really good. When you see James Howlett and Victor Creed going through the years together as brothers, I don't mind that they changed that part. It actually helps the story a bit. You see them going through it, but at times they question. You see James question what they're doing, especially towards the Vietnam War. It's a good movie from the first 10 minutes, and then it starts to slowly go down. You see, this movie was leaked on the internet. The incomplete version, and it seemed like the people who were in charge of it just said, forget it, we're not even going to try to finish it, because some of the effects are completely shoddy and look completely incomplete. Completely incomplete, that's weird. They look incomplete. They're not something that should have been, put out there for the public. It was fine if it was just a leak, but the thought seemed to have been, well, people are going to see it online in a leak anyway, so might as well just put it out there as it is. Don't even try to finish it. And the effects are kind of shoddy at points, like when Wolverine first has the metal adamantium claws. That looks completely crappy. And what really, the ending where he loses memory was done pretty badly, I thought. He gets shot with an adamantium bullet in the head, and that takes away his memory. I thought that was pretty bad. That was a bad idea. I did like the fight he had with, I guess, Deadpool, if you want to call him that. Ryan Reynolds did a pretty funny job as Deadpool when he was Slade Wilson. I think that's his name. Man. If I'm wrong, please tell me. Wade. What was it? Wade, I think is his real name. I'm not that big of a Deadpool fan, so forgive me if I don't know it. But I did think he was cool in that scene, but then he was gone, and then he just came back. And what I thought was kind of funny was when he was Ryan Reynolds, he was a loudmouth, just like Deadpool is in the comics. And Stryker tells him, "You'd be a great soldier. You learn to shut up." And when they bring him out as the new Deadpool, his mouth is sewn shut, and James Howlett tells him, "Oh, looks like they finally got you to shut up." The fight scene was pretty cool, but it was, at times it was hit or miss. Sometimes it was cool, sometimes it wasn't. I did like how Victor Creed tells him, "Nobody's going to kill you but me." So that's kind of a cool thing. But the most of the story was kind of haphazard, thrown together. And speaking of thrown together, this is what really got me mad at the movie. I was actually upset because I was a big Gambit fan in the X-Men cartoon in the 90s. I was a big Gambit fan. So when they were making the movies, I was waiting for Gambit. The first movie came out, no Gambit, that's fine. Second movie, they tease us because in the movie, Stryker's looking at a list of mutants, and one of them on there is Remy LeBeau, Gambit. And I was like, oh, we're going to get Gambit in the movie? No Gambit. Then the third movie comes out. And we're going to get Gambit? No Gambit. What the heck, man? I want Gambit. But then they say, okay, X-Men Wolverine, we're going to put Gambit in. And they just threw him in there just to placate the fans, and they didn't do anything really with him. He showed Wolverine where the place they're keeping the mutants was, but they didn't really show him kicking ass and taking names. They didn't show him really using a lot of his mutant power, charging things up and throwing them like playing cards. He didn't do too much of that. That would have been best if they just done a Gambit movie. I would have enjoyed that. I'm a big Gambit fan, like I've said. But it could have been a lot better, and if they had actually tried to finish it, I think it would have been a lot better. But that's just the way I feel. Okay, next, number 7 on my list is Pirates of the Caribbean, number 4 on Stranger Tides. See, I enjoyed the first 3 Pirates movies. I think they're good. It's a good trilogy. What's interesting, the first one definitely seems like a standalone movie, and they didn't think it was going to be, a success. But then it became a success, so they said, okay, let's make it a trilogy. So you could tell that the first one was a standalone, and the second and third were the one story in itself, and that's the connection. Then the fourth movie comes out. I was like, okay, this might be interesting. It's definitely a standalone story, but it's not as good as the first one or the trilogy, to be quite honest. I walked out of the theater, and when I watched it, I was like, man, that could have been much better. First of all, when it comes to like romance stories, I usually despise them when they're crowbarred in. If you look at the trilogy of Pirates movies, Elizabeth Swann and Will Turner, that whole love story, that was done well. You slowly developed it over the 3 movies, and you got to know these people and see and care about them, so that you actually gave a crap about their romance story. In this movie, they just threw it in. They threw 2 of them in there, trying to just crowbar that crap right in there, and both of them sucked. And Penelope Cruz, she did her best as the pseudo romance with Jack Sparrow. It wasn't that good. Then they tried to crowbar another one. It was a mermaid and a preacher that was complete garbage, and they tried to make it as part of the story, and it sucked. And it just plain sucked. But it could have been much better. And the thing that kind of like I was disappointed by the most was, if you look at the first 3 Pirates movies, the climax of it, there's always a big sword fight involving Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow is the main point of a big sword fight. Look at the first one. It's Captain Jack Sparrow versus Captain Barbossa. And the second one, a really good 3-sided sword fight between Captain Jack Sparrow, Will Turner, and the former Commodore. That was a good 3-sided sword fight. And then in the last movie, there was a big 2-ship battle. They're shooting cannons at each other, and you had the sword fight between Captain Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones. It was done really well, but then in the fourth one, he wasn't part of it. It was Barbossa, who was on one leg fighting against Blackbeard, and it was, no, I wanted Captain Sparrow to be in this, but he wasn't. And then it was, could be much better. Okay, number 6 on my list is Transformers 2: Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah, you know what? I actually enjoyed the first one, but it seems like they just tried to do too much lowbrow humor. There were so many stupid lowbrow jokes, like when that former agent pulls out his pants and he's got this like leopard thong on. Oh, sorry, I almost threw up in my mouth. That was stupid. And then you had a little robot humping Megan Fox's leg like a dog. You had the same agent who showed us that he wears a thong standing under a gigantic Decepticon, and he's underneath its balls. What the hell? What the hell? This is supposed to be an action movie. Not to mention the black stereotypes that we saw in this movie. The gold tooth can't read. I mean, come on, there was no way that wasn't supposed to be a black stereotype. Might as well have been blackface minstrel style. It was really stupid, and it kind of ruined some of the scenes. And it was this movie was not that good. I only saw it once, and that was it. And, actually, that's not true. I saw it twice in the theater. First time I saw it with my pop because he wanted to see it, and we were in town. And the second time I saw it with my brother because he hadn't seen it yet, and I told him I would. But after that, I was like, I didn't want to see it again. This movie was. All right, now number 5 is Final Destination 3. I am a big fan of the first Final Destination movie. I think it's an amazing movie. It's definitely a different type of slasher movie. Second movie is pretty good. It's a good movie. It ties up the loose ends. It creates the loose ends in a logical way, and then it closes them. But in the third one, it's just, you kind of predictable. But they try to do something new with the pictures, and they try to give you clues on what happens. It's okay. It's a decent movie. Don't get me wrong. It's a decent movie, and I still like it. But when you compare it to the first two, it's an odd movie out. And I haven't even seen the other two movies because I didn't want to. I thought that this one should have been the last one, and I didn't want to watch any other ones. And one of the things that got me, that was like, that you can't do that, was towards the end of the movie, where it looks like they're going to be safe. They talk about who saved whom from death, and they say that the final girl, if you want, that's what they call that female lead. They said, "Oh, you intervene on yourself." Like, no, you can't do that. You cannot intervene on yourself. They established that in the first movie. They continue that in the second movie. You can't change the rules in the third movie and say, well, you can save yourself. No, somebody else has to intervene on your behalf. Not to mention, as far as the death scenes, they got very graphic in that third one. I did not like it. I liked the first one. There was only one really bloody scene because the one woman, the teacher, got the thing stuck in her neck and she pulled it out by panicking, and you see blood coming out. And that was the only real bloody scene, and it wasn't gory. You didn't see a bunch of screaming like they're stuck in a tanning booth in the third one. It was too much, I thought. I don't need blood and guts all over. Blood is okay in certain amounts, and then once it goes over the top, it's just no. But I still would say you should watch it just to finish off a trilogy, but it's definitely not as good as the first two. Alright, coming up, part 3 is the final 4 of disappointing movies. You're not going to want to miss this.